In regular drive modes, when you plant your
Hi guys, welcome to the Overdrive live show. I apologize right at the start for bad network at my end. It's pretty choppy today. We'll get to your questions very shortly, but we have a very exciting electric story to start the show with today. When we heard the news that Jaguar was planning to go all electric, we weren't the happiest of the lot. As driving enthusiasts, that's the last thing you actually want to hear. But what we've recently experienced with the Jaguar I-Pace in our city has led us to believe not all change is bad. Take a look.
What pops into your head when you hear the words fast Jaguar? An E-Type? Perhaps an XJ220? An XKRS? An F-Type? Or even an F-Pace? Well, in just a short while from now, a fast Jag is going to mean this. This is the Jaguar I-Pace. It's the British company's first ever all-electric car, and that's super important because Jaguar is going all-electric very soon, and the I-Pace is our best preview of what future Jaguars are going to be like. But my concern is, can an electric Jaguar be Jaguar enough? Going by the styling, you'd certainly think so. The I-Pace has that unmistakably Jaguar face and curves, even if its proportions suggest a jacked-up crossover rather than all-out SUV. With no packaging constraints for an IC powertrain, the wheels are pushed right out to the four corners and overhangs are super short. The short stubby hood may not be very Jaguar-like, but it's got curves in all the right places, and the functional aero elements don't look too technical. They actually add to the car's aesthetics. All said, it definitely looks like nothing else on the road. It's stylish and sporty all at the same time. It's more good news inside. The cabin doesn't feel too futuristic or too space age. It's actually quite traditionally Jaguar with a very nice two-layered dash and just 3 screens in total, and the screens aren't massively large, and thank God they still are physical dials for stuff like your climate control and your volume. You could probably take a guess as to the seating position just by looking at the car. You're not sat as typically high as in a SUV, but it's not a sedan type seating either. It's a happy compromise in the middle. Now, there are a few things that I wish Jaguar had assigned buttons to, like the active sound design, which actually changes the sound that the car makes under acceleration. The second being the level of brake regeneration, which you can't really do on the move because this car has no paddle shifters. Both of these settings are buried in the menu and at last count require about 5 to 6 button presses to get you what you want. Sound installation is pretty good inside the cabin given the I-Pace's near-silent operation, while the optional Meridian 3D surround audio sounds absolutely phenomenal. That near 3-meter long wheelbase does translate into great space at the rear, and you're sat quite comfortably without needing to scrunch your knees up to fit. The boot's pretty large too, and the front trunk or frunk serves as the best storage for charging cables. 6 airbags aside, the I-Pace also has a deployable pedestrian safety airbag, active brake assist, adaptive cruise control, 360-degree cameras, and a pretty trick motor drag control that varies the level of regen braking on a slippery surface to make sure your wheels don't lock up. It'll also make cool electric motor sounds on the outside at speeds up to 20 kmph to warn pedestrians. Let's get the specs out of the way. First,
and they're quite Jaguar-like. You've got 400 PS of power, 695 Newton meters of torque that goes to all the four wheels. There's an electric motor on the front and one at the back, so you do get all-wheel drive. And the 0 to 100 kmph is in a claimed 4.8 seconds. Again, very exciting, very Jaguar-like figures, and the all-electric driving range is 470 kilometers according to the WLTP test, though a realistic figure is between 300 to 350, but we'll have more on that in a minute. Throttle feels perfectly calibrated at low speeds, so navigating city traffic isn't a chore at all. There are some electric cars that feel like they want to lurch forward, and the Jag doesn't do that. The buttons on the dash cycle you through the drive modes, which go from comfort, eco, to a dedicated off-road driving mode, which has such things as a low traction launch, which helps you get off in slippery surfaces so that all that electric torque that's available right from zero doesn't overwhelm the tires and dig you in. Of course, there's also the dynamic drive mode, which firms up the optional air suspension on this car just a little bit to give you that tight body control that makes this feel like a Jaguar. In regular drive modes, when you plant your foot down, you're met with a very spaceship-like sound, but that all changes when you put it into dynamic. And when you put your foot down, it's a lot louder, and it's a mix between a V8 and an electric motor, and it sounds hair-raising. Of course, all that electric torque is addictive, and I just can't help myself.
Driven flat out, the I-Pace blitzes from standstill to 100 kmph in 5 seconds flat, but its roll-on times were much more impressive at under a second, eclipsing figures we've managed from 600 PS V8 powered performance cars.
Like we said, that stellar ride quality also comes courtesy of the high-profile tires fitted on these 19-inch wheels. It's something that Jaguar Land Rover does in India, and it's something that should be appreciated, even though it maybe robs the style element of it just a little bit. The payoff in terms of just peace of mind that you can roll over anything and not worry about sidewall tears is, I think, quite unrivaled. Of course, being a Jaguar and one equipped with air suspension at that, it does have a tendency to crash into potholes and over sharp surfaces, but that's something that all air suspension equipped cars do. Building electric cars is sort of a new art for Jaguar, as it is for a lot of other manufacturers. And this being an entirely new platform, it's really astounding as to how much feel of a Jaguar that they've built into it in the first place. The steering feels just right, like any other Jaguar, and you get just the right amount of feel even when you're pushing it to let you know exactly where the grip is and where the grip is going. Now, the I-Pace does handle corners remarkably well, considering it's supposed to be an SUV/crossover, and given that its center of gravity is a whole 130 mm lower than Jag's own SUV, the F-Pace, you can understand why it feels so agile and so responsive when you come to a set of corners. With the regen braking set in high, one-pedal driving is nearly possible until you have to come to a complete halt at, say, a traffic light. And in the low mode, it feels just like a regular car, and actually the extra regen braking actually helps give the I-Pace its EV identity.
In the short time we had the I-Pace, we managed a round 265-kilometer trip filled with highway runs, testing, shooting, sitting around with the climate control running, and some fun at a car track with about 15% charge left to spare. Going by our mixed highway city test that we conducted separately, we estimate most people will comfortably get over 350 kilometers to a single charge, going up to near 400 kilometers if driven sensibly. As for charging, Jaguar will install a 7.4 kilowatt charger for you at your home or at your office, which will fully charge the I-Pace up in 14 hours. Public charging from 0 to 80% at a 25 kilowatt DC charger will take about 3.5 hours, which gets cut down to 1.5 hours using a 50 kilowatt DC charger. We're told Tata Power, the charging partners for Jaguar, will install more of these soon. In a pinch, the supplied domestic plug charger fully charges the I-Pace in 48 hours, so it's best used as a top-up option.
It's a little difficult to judge whether an EV has soul, and Jaguars typically have soul. You know, they're the self-confessed bad boys of the automotive world, and as far as the I-Pace goes, it has character. I wouldn't call it the typical Jaguar character, but it's definitely got character.
At an ex-showroom price just over Rs 1 crore, the I-Pace drives sporty enough to warrant the badge and is comfortable and practical enough with a longish 350km plus range to be a genuine daily drivable luxury car. While we really hope Jaguar still makes V8s for their sports cars, going by the I-Pace's capabilities, an electric everyday Jaguar that's sporty could be the dawn of a whole new era for the iconic mark.
You can catch a detailed review of this story. We've just played a shorter version of it on the show today. You can catch it on YouTube, on Instagram, Facebook as well. Let's get Bert on the show, please.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Overdrive Digital Show. Today, I'm not sure if Rose will be able to join us. He's off to visit the doctors. Nothing too serious, but just a personal check. And we may not be able to make it back home in time to join us in the live show. But I'll try to fill in his shoes. His not so very big shoes. I'll get. But
Still with the Jaguar, you drove it as well when we were shooting. You were enjoying yourself on the karting track as well. Is there anything more you would add about the I-Pace?
Well, yes, it is a fantastic car. I think, we've driven 3 of these electric SUVs, which is from the luxury manufacturers, except for BMW, who have still not offered anything big in market. But the EQC, the I-Pace, the e-Tron, I've driven all 3 of those. Right here in India. And just off the top of my head, I think to categorize them, I'd say the I-Pace is the most fun to drive. The e-Tron, very refined, very luxurious, very comfortable. The EQC also, great on comfort, but the bigger point being space and the SUV character that you get from most other SUVs for that matter. So in that sense, the I-Pace was absolutely stunning, and it's nice to see JLR and Matter having drawn up an EV from the ground up and not actually borrowed another SUV's platform and put an EV on that. This has allowed them to look at an EV, construct it from scratch, and make something entirely new, something entirely different, and something very unique and exciting. Let me mention that. Both the I-Pace and the e-Tron, which we will bring a story to you later on in this month, and phenomenal cars to drive.
All right, but I can see that there are network issues at your end as well. So guys, please bear with us today. It's out of our hands.
Today is a very bad day, and for some reason, neither mobile networks nor broadband is working optimally. So yeah, do bear with us, guys. We've got tremendous issues today. Just bad.
But Nitin wants to know I-Pace or the Taycan for enthusiasts?
Tough one. I would say the Taycan for the enthusiasts, not the I-Pace. The I-Pace is a good product, great product in fact, but there's more practicality that you get out of it. The Taycan is just sheer mind-numbing performance. Unbelievable stuff that you get from Porsche. I've driven it in winter conditions up in Scandinavian regions, and it was a bloody hoot to drive. So much fun to be had that car. I'm looking forward to driving that. That is also expected to come down to India very shortly. The Taycan is also on the cards. I think it's just all the lockdown, the restrictions that are delaying these launches, and there will probably be further delays given the conditions in the situation right now as well, where the third wave is imminent. So let's just hope, keep our fingers crossed that all these cars can, that the lockdowns don't happen. People maintain some sanity and keep themselves safe to prevent the virus from spreading. And if that happens, then we've got a slew of cars coming out over the next few months, and very exciting time to look forward to.
But Lazy Wanderer wants to know the XUV 700 was scheduled for October of this year, but he read somewhere that it's 31 days from launch. Does Audi have a definite timeline? Someone he knows is planning to buy.
There
Sorry.
isn't a definitive there is a timeline to this, unfortunately. These plans are all very, very flexible. Just keep in mind, everything is thrown to the situation on ground. COVID hasn't gone away. Restrictions are still coming back into what we hear. Just today, we heard about the Maharashtra government enforcing level 3 restrictions in certain districts of Maharashtra. So the third wave is coming in. This could affect deliveries as well. But all we can say is just stay safe. Like I said earlier, practice all the safety measures that you can. Avoid getting into crowds, maintain your distance, stay masked up. Let's try and see if we can just beat this virus.
All right, here's an interesting question, Bert, from Rajesh Khare. He's saying he's aware that bike manufacturers test the bikes before selling them, but do they even test the seats? Why are the seats too hard or too soft? Do they just look for the design?
Well, to be honest, Rajesh, there isn't an optimal seat. There isn't a one size fits all. Okay, there is a particular density of foam that most two-wheeler manufacturers use. It's a common density. It's a common, how do I say, flex. It's common. The standards are similar across the board. The amount, except for certain superbikes or larger category motorcycles, higher capacity motorcycles, where the seat density, the thickness, all of that varies. But for most of the commuter motorcycles, it's a standard size. These are all acquired from common vendors for that matter, and there's very, very little differences in this. But the idea here is to ensure more than anything else to ensure longevity, while at the same time not compromising comfort and of course safety as well. Seats play a very important role in terms of safety on a two-wheeler because you do not want your rear end sliding all over that seat. You do not want to use grip, so the kind of texture of the seat covers, the foam padding, the height that is required as well, the amount of height it provides from the ground. All of these are essential characteristics. And then, of course, there is a whole question about reliability because that foam needs to last you for a really long time and not wear out and cause trouble to dust. Also needs to be protected, or other it needs to face the elements, whether it's heat, cold, or the monsoon season. Foam does get affected by all these weather and temperature changes. So it needs to last for a really long time. These are some of the characteristics, these are some of the points that define or other, define what seat design is all about on the wheelers. But yes, they do test seats. These are evaluated, and there is a final product that, of course, is signed off on and said, okay, fine, this will do. So there is somebody in every two-wheeler engineering department says this seat will do. Also, keep in mind, cost plays a factor over here. So that's another important criteria as well. We can't really go overboard and I don't know, plush seats that you would expect in cars. But having said that, everything is tested and we then offered on any two-wheeler sold.
Rajesh, I'm very curious to know why this question though. Which motorcycle are you looking for in particular? What has made you very unhappy? You let us know if you're still live. But Vishwas wants to know your thoughts about the Skoda's the Octavia's new engine.
Well, I think it is a fantastic car. The options are brilliant, and I do wish that at some time Volkswagen Group gets into the diesels back here and are able to make diesels like they used to previously. But as far as petrols go, the Octavia's engine works really well, and this has always been so in the past as well. It's got a fantastic mix or a fantastic balance between performance and drivability. Efficiency, yes, they need to provide efficiency as well, but somehow the other between all of this mix, it's the performance and the drivability that everyone leans towards, at least the consumers, and that's what they've appreciated the Octavia for. The dynamics, the ride quality, and of course the performance that they get from the petrol engine. In that sense, I think on all three parameters, Skoda's Octavia scores very, very well. One of the, how do I say it, the least, one of the underrated sedans for this year. Lots of queries, lots of interest in the sedan, but not too many takers. I foresee this segment will still take a beating. The SUVs, keep in mind, Skoda also got this Kushaq coming out very, very shortly, and numbers for Kushaq will really go to the roof. I expect that to happen because it is a good product, but it will, of course, also mean that it will draw a lot of consumers from the Octavia. So, unfortunate but sedans are taking a beating. But on the whole, that Octavia is a fantastic car, right?
But in fact, he's also written asking, is this the same engine as the RS 245 detuned?
No, that is a slightly tweaked engine. Of course, it is tweaked, the same platform, but to deliver more power, that will be a completely different engine that we will see also very shortly in the country.
All right. Rajesh, thanks for getting back to us. He says he has the NS 200 and the KTM, and both aren't suitable for long rides. Okay, we have a question here from where was the
NS ADV 390. KTM seat densities, these are very, very thin seats, slim seats also. And it also depends on the riding position. You definitely don't get the same kind of comfort that you would in a larger capacity motorcycle. I ride a Tiger myself, and that seat is ultimately comfortable for miles and miles. And there's absolutely no issue with those seats. But on the ADV 390, it's not just the seat, also, it's also the way you position yourself on the ADV. I find it a little ungainly. Most KTMs, for that matter, I find them a little ungainly. And I've ridden the ADV 390, and it is to me a little uncomfortable in that sense. So I probably guess where you're coming from. May not necessarily have to do with the seat as much as the positioning of the motorcycle. Now, same with the NS 200 also. The NS 200 largely is a comfortable motorcycle. From what I have read, I haven't ridden that for a motorcycle personally, but from what I have read, there are no issues that we have faced, whether it is Rohit who has ridden it or these people in the team. Have not really had much of an issue. Seating is the comfort is. It's probably a good idea to just take a look and see, check that seat thoroughly and see if there is nothing wrong with that, whether the seat plate isn't deformed, if there's something that's wrong with there, or if the foam density has kind of gone, if it's worn out, and there could be certain other issues which maybe providing with an uncomfortable ride condition.
But Omkar wants.
Motorcycles, both the motorcycles and the essentially is definitely not something you want to go. It would not be really comfortable in the long ride. The KTM 390 Adventure definitely is far better than the NS 200, but I'm not sure why you have a problem exactly with that. It shouldn't be that bad that you wouldn't be able to do a long ride.
But any updates on the launch of the Tigor EV and the eKUV 100? Will they be attractive packages like the Nexon EV?
Well, both these products were expected or anticipated to come out this year again. The eKUV 100 also. All of these were lined up for this year. But we don't know now. The timelines are all very flexible based on what conditions exist in the states where they're manufactured. And both of these are manufactured in Maharashtra. So unfortunately, we think there will be some changes in the scheduling for launches for these vehicles. Fingers crossed that they're able to, both the Mahindra and Automotive are able to get products out to the market very quickly. But I foresee there could be some delays in what is coming out right now. Both these manufacturers will face a few manpower crunches, one. And of course, let's keep in mind there's also the semiconductor shortage, which is delaying not just India, but globally. There is a massive shortfall and leading to enormous delays. Every manufacturer in the world has been set back for that semiconductor shortage by almost 5 to 6 months where production is concerned. So this is something just everybody will have to bear with. There is no choice around this. From what I also hear, in the luxury spaces also for that matter, manufacturers at this point in time are simply launching whatever products they can lay their hands on from the global counterparts. So any of the kits that are coming out of India, these cars are essentially just hands-on. Previously, they had a schedule saying in the month of Jan, we launch X car, month of Feb, we launch Y car, month of March, we launch Z car. But now it's come down to whichever car is available, let's just launch it simply because there is a shortfall in production and it's not going to be anytime soon.
All right. Here is a question from Siddharth. Any idea why Hyundai didn't launch the Alcazar with a petrol automatic for the 7-seater configuration?
Well, Siddharth, Hyundai's main ideology behind that was to kind of keep the variant mix a little smaller and not create too much confusion. The challenge of this is essentially that when you do 15, 20 variants of a particular product, you need to stock up on those particular parts. You need to maintain an inventory because that inventory has to be then provided to the dealers. And what happens if there is, they also build these inventories or rather build these variants based on customer feedback, understanding what consumers want. They run a lot of clinics where they ask consumers saying what are your kind of preferences. The higher allotments, the higher choices rather, are the ones the variant mix comes in from. The ones that have got fewer options in that sense, consumers don't really look at it very intently, saying, it's okay, I don't think I want a 7-seater petrol automatic, that's not a priority for me. That's essentially one of the reasons why those options aren't available. Very easy to, manufacturer give us all the options, but it's very hard for a manufacturer to maintain an inventory of all those options. Usually, what happens, and we've seen this in several manufacturers also, is that there may be a consumer who comes in and says, but he will be the only one, and getting that variant ready for him would mean a further delay also, and that's also something that most manufacturers don't like to do. You lose a lot of goodwill because that one particular customer, that small set of customers, are kept waiting till that particular product goes through a complete is produced. So yeah, it's a challenge, but the principal reason that Hyundai and several other manufacturers like to keep the variant mix small enough so that they can service it quickly, get those products out of the market, and that there are no issues with deliveries for these new products.
All right. But one more question on the Alcazar. Why was the Alcazar not given the 1.4-liter turbo petrol with better mid-range torque suitable for an SUV?
Sorry, why was the 1.4 turbo petrol with better mid-range torque? I didn't get you. Why was the 1.4 petrol with better mid-range torque suitable for an SUV is not given an Alcazar? I mean, there's a 2-liter Nitin, which works really, really well. That's the same engine as from the Tucson's, the new NU generation of engine, the third generation of the NU engine. It's a fantastic engine. Why would you want to downsize that engine and get out a smaller engine for that matter? The turbo petrol, I mean, this also is turbocharged, so you get the best of all worlds. It's got great amounts of power and torque. It's very refined. It's a very refined engine. It does what it is expected to do very comfortably. Even the Tucson, keep that in mind, even the Tucson does not get as much power. The Tucson is a previous generation, which makes 152 PS. This is a 159 PS engine with more torque. So I'm not sure why would a manufacturer want to downsize that engine. What is it that you're looking for exactly? Better mid-range stock. This petrol engine, the petrol engine, has got excellent mid-range stock as well. It's got fantastic mid-range stock for that matter. In fact, it's only got mid-range stock. At the low end, it's a little laggy. At the top end, it kind of dies out a little bit as well. But the mid-range is really, really punchy, is really strong. So I don't know why we want that additional thing. Why would we want them to downsize it and make it smaller?
All right. But here's a question from Rahul. He wants to know Royal Enfield had recalled bikes for ignition coil issue and later Honda had recalled for reflectors. Is it a fault that happens at the vendor's end or supervision at OEMs is not stringent?
Well, these small issues, these are not small issues, of course, for a consumer at the end of the day, because consumers have to send their products back to the manufacturer to get them rectified. But yeah, sometimes these happen. There are, of course, manufacturers try and put as many checks and balances into place, but sometimes it does happen that certain things do slip through. One small figure, one small entry into the computer system somewhere or the other will kind of make an entire mess out of what is being produced for that matter. Sometimes a few revisions are also made, certain corrections that the manufacturer realizes. Maybe tolerances should have been more, a little less, and they insert that into the production line. And when that part is being built, it may not be the best mix. It will not probably match on something else and lead to some other complications. Lots of issues. There are lots of factors that could lead to this. But it's not. I wouldn't say manufacturing is not 100% foolproof for that matter. With most IC engines also for that matter, keep in mind you've got thousands of moving parts, and in those thousands of moving parts, something or the other can always go wrong. I hope and assume that at some point when we get deeper into the EV space, all of these will be negated simply because there's so fewer moving parts that are required to run an IC engine, to run an IC life. So it should be a lot easier and a lot more reliable. Having said that, we know for the fact that even Teslas are not 100% reliable. There are several issues, and these now coming from software. Someone writes in the wrong code, and something else happens, and something goes wrong. So yes, manufacturing is not 100%. Is not 100% reliable process, and there can always be issues. Keep in mind, some of the best manufacturers in the world have always had issues, and these could be at vendor ends, this could be at the manufacturing end, manufacturing OEMs and itself. So you are talking, keep in mind, we had this whole issue with the airbag, the biggest recalls in the history of the automotive industry, the Takata airbags, big problem. Millions of cars recalled for one small issue, almost put Takata out of business. But yes, these problems can happen.
Alright, guys, you are asking very interesting questions, and as Tuin mentions in the comment section, do share these videos as well. They help answer a lot more questions, from people who might not be joining us right now, so they could go through this video, like it as well. But we have a question from Lazy Wanderer. He says Reliance is planning to invest big with 4 gigafactories. How do you think this will affect the auto industry, especially development of fuel cell vehicles? Can we see at least CKDs coming in anytime soon?
Well, okay. It's a big announcement. It's a massive announcement, and there are 4 plants within this entire 4 gigafactories coming up within this new energy ecosystem that Reliance is looking at investing in. 60,000 crores. And of course, those investments will increase in time as well. But the fact of the matter is that the EV future is almost upon us, and that ecosystem is coming in very fast. And as you can see, Reliance is stepping into that space. So why? Simply because the petrochemicals business is a sunset business at some point in time, and there is no future to it. So EVs or other energy management, energy supplies is the business that you need to be in. This is where the gigafactories come in. Now, 2 of those factories, of course, one is into battery manufacturing for electric vehicles, and the other is fuel cells, powered vehicles for that matter. Hydrogen is being actively looked at by the government of India now. There are several manufacturers in India who are already working on hydrogen fuel cell cars in India. There is testing, there is development happening in India as we speak. This has been happening for almost a year and a half, probably longer, in fact, for that matter, where products are being tested with fuel cells. So the future is imminent. Hydrogen, of course, is the end game. We need to move towards fuel cells at some point in time, and EVs also. I stand the traditional, or rather the new age EVs that we talk about. This is also a stopgap measure till we come to the fuel cell vehicles. Fuel cells are also an extension of electric vehicles, except where the fuel source is hydrogen and electricity that is derived from a coal plant or a particular power plant, for that matter. Here the fuel essentially is hydrogen, and that generates electricity in your car, and your emissions are limited absolutely zero. It's just water and air. So in that sense, fuel cells are the future, and it's great to see that people are investing in this already, and one of them being Reliance, where their Jamnagar facilities will be supplying or are supporting all of this, and they will be developing these battery powered these fuel cell vehicles energy sources. Do I think this will affect the auto industry? It will affect the industry positively. There is development, there's going to be a lot of interest, and it effectively raises the game for the entire automotive industry, where now more manufacturers will look far more actively and fast with a lot more interest into the whole fuel cell game. We will, I think, the next 15 years or so, at the most 15 years, we should make that transition to fuel cell vehicles, and this will happen sooner or later. Toyota is looking at Honda. There are other manufacturers. I'm not at liberty to mention them at this point in time, but these are the local manufacturers. We know that we've already done a lot of work on fuel cells. Mercedes is there, and we have several other manufacturers also. But there are some other manufacturers that I'm not able to talk about and tell you who they are and what they are doing. But there is tremendous amount of work. It is a very exciting phase. I'm quite excited by it in terms of we're going to be shifting an entire generation of vehicles for something that has been around for over 100 years. We're going to kill that and move on to a completely new energy source, and that is fairly exciting because the way I see it, these are all deadpan vehicles. It's going to have no excitement. It's going to have no thrills. The thrill of driving is going to be flushed down the toilet. But yeah, I mean, this is what it is. This is where we are. This is the future, and the future is all about having cars driving themselves. More of connectivity. You will be able to enjoy Geo, the so-called favorite network of theirs inside your cars. But yeah, this is all part of an ecosystem of the future. So yes, there is a lot of growth that's going to happen. There's a lot of maturity that's going to come in. It's going to be a fairly exciting time. Now, can we see at least CKDs coming in anytime soon? No, we're not going to be seeing anything coming in anytime soon, simply because hydrogen storage is a big challenge at this point in time. It's still not been sorted out entirely. There is still some work going on in that direction. And until and unless that can happen in a safe manner, keep in mind, this is still a very, very unsafe territory. This is something where the hydrogen fuel is a very volatile fuel. Storing that is extremely challenging. And while still there aren't any major incidents that have been reported as such, it's still not safe. There are still no very safe measures to store this fuel and to make sure that it is delivered to consumers and consumers safely enough. Until those solutions are in place, when all the tests and evaluations are done, I think we should, like I said, we should be seeing more changes, a lot more development in this space in the next 10 to 15 years, and we should constructively have something down in the Indian market also in the next decade.
All right, guys, I see there are plenty of questions coming in. We'll quickly run you through the news from this week, and we'll be back to answer a few more of these questions.
There's one interesting question, Vishwas Jain, one of my winners
Yeah,
for today. Do you think manufacturers like Mercedes are taking the customers for a ride by pricing their cars about 40% higher than the competition, like the new S Class? I understand that it's CVU. Okay, let me clear the air over here, Vishwas. Firstly, and I had the same misconception like you earlier, right? And I do remember at the time when the Wrangler came into the market, very interesting discussion to have. When the Wrangler came into the Indian market and was priced about 75 lakhs, I remember that. I was sitting in Tokyo with our colleagues from Toyota, and we were there to drive another car. And we were following the launch during lunch or dinner, whatever. I'm not sure what. I don't remember exactly. We were at a meet, lunch or dinner, I'm not sure, but we were following the launch of the Wrangler at that point in time, and when it came out to 75 lakhs, we all kind of got into an uproar and immediately and said, "What nonsense! This is absolute rubbish. How can a manufacturer price a car like that at so and so at such steep prices? Are they out of their mind? They're not going to be selling anything, and this is absolute rubbish. And do you know what the price of the Wrangler is in the United States? And how can it be so expensive here?" Now, calculated prices. I mean, for the US market, of course, the Wrangler is priced at 15 lakh rupees. So when it came out, it had priced about 75 lakh rupees. It was like this absolute joke that we all thought had gone wrong somewhere. But someone from Toyota effectively was reading out my tweets on their smartphone as well, and came up to me, and he happened to be from financial team at Toyota. And he corrected me and said that there is nothing as such. These are CPUs, and CPUs get taxed to the tune of almost 225%. So, and which is why even cars like the Land Cruiser are as expensive. The Land Cruiser in India went above 1 crore, 1.25 crore, if I'm not mistaken. And for all of those who, questioned us about Land Cruiser coming down to India and the previous shows, well, we saw the new Land Cruisers. I expect when it comes down to India, it will be no less than about somewhere in the region of 2 crores. And that's also because it's a CBU. Duties, the taxes on this are insane. They're just absolutely ridiculous. There is a small fortune that the government earns on these taxes. And why is it so? We're not entirely sure. Protectionism, I get it. But everybody develops for more cars and more products on the market. It doesn't, because what we get from other manufacturers, mass market is not going to get affected by the same product by these. But for some reason, we believe that it may get affected. But getting more cars in turn will, of course, inspire more manufacturers to get out better technologies, to get out more reliable engines, to get out more powerful engines, to make better cars, more feature-rich, more luxurious, more comfortable, more reliable. So all of these matter. But yeah, the point of the matter is that these cars are taxed very heavily, and you just can't help it. That's why the pricing goes as high as it is. Also, keep in mind the transition from BS4 to BS6 was a very interesting one, because from BS4 to BS6, prices of cars naturally went up by almost up to about 15%. That is because in some of these cars, there were several devices put in to counter emissions, to reduce emissions, and to bring them to permissible limits that the government of India recommends that we not exceed these limits. To get these cars to meet those limits is a very difficult task. It's a very challenging task, and those devices that are put on these cars raise the price up significantly. These could be the SCRs or the NOx traps or the DPS or so many other devices. And all of these collectively makes the cars far more expensive than they were before. this is a big challenge. We want to add that as a factor, and then of course we want to add the CPU price, the taxation as well. This gets up the price because 2 crore, 2.5 crore brackets, the S class, GLS, it's slightly expensive, but there you have it. These are where the prices are. The ones who make these profits at the end of the day from the sale of CPUs is the god.
Okay, but we've taken quite a few Vishwas Jain's questions. We will move on to our new segment and we'll get back to other people's questions. BMW has given the 5 Series a midlife makeover launched earlier this week, starting from 62.90 lakh rupees for the 530i M Sport. There's the new BMW signature L-shaped DRLs, while the laser lighting option is available optionally. There's a larger and wider front grille as well, along with a simpler design for the front bumper. The M Sport version looks sharper than before, and the 5 Series gets the latest iDrive infotainment system. The 12.3-inch screen is now available as standard across the range, while the fully digital instrument cluster has been added to the dash. Significantly, wireless Android Auto is now available as standard fitment across the model lineup, and the engine options remain unchanged and compared with the ZF 8-speed torque converter. The BMW also offers adaptive suspension. Mini 3-door hatch, Mini convertible and the Mini John Cooper Works models will be sold as CVU models in the Indian market. The 2021 models are priced at 38 lakhs, 44 lakhs and 45.50 lakh rupees respectively. All 3 models carry some minor design changes along with updated LED headlights and taillights. Both the Mini 3-door and convertible get updated LED headlights with integrated fog lights and turn indicators. The air intakes are now vertically stacked in line with the new hexagonal radiator grille. The JCW carries similar changes with some sprinkle of sportiness in design. The Minis are offered in 11 attractive colors and 2 interior upholstery choices. The Mini range is powered by a 2-liter 4-cylinder turbocharged petrol engine that in 3-door and convertible produces 192 PS and 280 Newton meters of torque. With the JCW, the power and torque output bumps to 231 PS and 320 Newton meters of torque. The 3-door hatch and convertible models come mated to a 7-speed dual-clutch gearbox, whereas the JCW makes use of an 8-speed automatic gearbox. Moving on, bookings for the Jaguar F-Pace SVR 2021 model have opened in India. Launch should be around the corner too. It packs in refreshed styling along with a more powerful supercharged V8 engine. Just like the updated F-Pace, major changes lie on the inside, featuring a new layout and tech. The curved Pivi Pro infotainment system takes the center stage, and the F-Pace SVR features a new steering rack for precise handling and metallic pedals for the gearbox. The SUV also features retuned suspension, electronic rear differential, torque vectoring by braking, active sports exhaust, and a lot more. The 5-liter supercharged V8 is now 0.3 seconds quicker than before and can touch 286 kilometers per hour without breaking a sweat. Now, after a really long wait, Audi India has announced that they will launch the e-Tron on 22nd of July. We've recently driven this SUV, and while our opinions are embargoed till 5th of July, here are some of the visuals that you can enjoy. Well, over to you, Bert. I hear there's a new hybrid Ferrari on our shores.
A hybrid V6 Ferrari, one of the first after a very, very long time. It's a fairly exciting car. This is the 296 GTB. It's finally here. It's a mid-rear engine Ferrari and a twin turbo, the first twin turbo V6 hybrid that we've got. This delivers about, the electric motors get you about 166 PS, 9 power. You've got about, and totally it combines up to about 830 PS with about 740 Newton meters that you get from that engine. All that made it to an 8-speed gearbox, dual touch transmission. Makes it bloody quick. This is a 2.9 second car that does 100 kilometers per hour in 2.9 seconds. You've got 0 to 200 in 7.3 seconds. And at the end of the day, it's still a Grand Tourer. The 296 GTB is still a Grand Tourer. This is something that you go touring around continents, cross continents. Not the Asian continent, but definitely the European continent. You can drive this car around brilliantly. I'm assuming it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be enormous fun, very, very exciting. but it's already broken the lap record. It's on lap time around Fioran, the Ferrari test track, and it did it in 1 minute 21 second, and that is the time that matches the F12 hypercar. Keep that in mind. Yeah, the F12 hypercar did it the same time. So it's amazing that a car of this sort can. It's a V6, it's a turbocharged V6, it's hybrid, and this is probably also one of the last we will see of the IC engines coming in from Ferrari as well. Is this is this where it all starts to unravel Ferrari in terms of the IC engines going out and Ferrari coming up with electric in the future? Is this what happens? What happens after the 296 GT? Now, deliveries are expected to be set to start off soon, but this is after the FAA tribute to deliveries end sometime in 2022. Deliveries will begin somewhere towards the end of this year or somewhere toward the mid of next year. And prices, again, these are not Indian prices, but prices are about which they said about 2.38 crores for taxes. With duties and everything comes out to India, I assume that we, like I said earlier, 225% to the MAT, and you'll see that almost pricing was close to about 7 to 8 crores priced in India. So there you have it. New hybrid car, V6, the 296 GTB. Yeah, phenomenal car, phenomenal package to look forward to. I'm quite hoping that soon, sometimes, let's see, fingers crossed, we will know what will happen. But then it can't be because, but yeah, let's look forward to that.
But of the last few reviews that we've been having of the coolest of cars, you've been giving the others a chance to drive it. Probably the Ferrari, you will want to drive it and not pass it on to Rohit and Simran.
Well, they're all going to be standing in line. I know that, and hopefully I'll be able to pull rank and get myself in that car.
Let me get back to our questions then. What Krutik says, moto vlogging and touring is catching up in the country, and after lockdown, many chose to travel privately. So why aren't manufacturers coming up with new cruise bikes rather than ADV?
Let's look at this, Krutik. Like this, the cruiser segment, of course, works fantastically well if you've got long expanses of road that are uncluttered, that are smooth, and when you can drive peacefully. India, unfortunately, does not have that. Every few kilometers, you experience bad patches, you experience too much traffic. Cruisers aren't also the most, how would I say it, the most fun to drive in the twisties. You can enjoy it to an extent. But there are limitations to what a cruiser can do. The whole cruiser image was built around the American states, state highways, and where those sections of the road extend for miles on end. I have been on sections in California, the state of California, and it's not the state with the largest roads for that matter. But there are sections where you will drive on for about 50 kilometers. The road will take a single turn, not either a deviation towards the left, nor towards the right. It will just go on and on for miles. You, in fact, reach up to inclines and you look down and you see almost 20 kilometers up ahead and see the road is going absolutely straight. So on sections like that, of course, cruisers are a lot of fun. But why do adventure touring motorcycles do far better, and why does it demand for it? It's simply because they're far more capable, they're far more versatile. You can still ride them on tarmac. It doesn't matter if you're good, you plan out everything. And then you have the added advantage, like SUVs are with the preeminence right now. ADV cruisers also can allow you to go far beyond. It allows you to go on the tools, it allows you to do some things which you would never been able to do before. And that's the reason why ADVs are gaining this popularity. They build tougher, they last longer, they do far more versatile in their appeal, and they're still as much fun to ride. So yes, that's the only reason why manufacturers aren't really looking at the cruiser segment actively. That market has taken considerably in the last few years, whereas the ADV market has risen substantially.
But Jaideep wants to know what you can tell us about the Tucson. Is it coming to India anytime soon?
About new Tucson launch in India, is it coming? Well, Tucson is under consideration. Tucson will come down to India, but not this year. This year, there are very good prospects in the market. Tucson is not one of them. And I do expect we will see something about it in the coming year, 2022. We definitely will have some action on our side, but nothing for this.
All right. Arun Kumar wants to know, as compared to the Creta, what are the specifications added to the Alcazar, and when will Hyundai launch the Azera in India?
Well, what are the specifications added to Alcazar? Let's see. First, I'll look at it from various perspectives. Let's look at the chassis itself. The chassis has been extended in length, so it's longer than the Creta, but more importantly, the wheelbase has been extended by almost 150 mm or something like that. So, right, so 150 to 200 mm, that's what the extension is of the wheelbase. So you've got a fair amount of addition to the wheelbase, and this is essentially being done so that you get a roomier or other more spacious cabin. That's part one. The engine, the powertrains. Now, the diesel engine is still, of course, the same like the Creta, but the petrol is what's being drive the Tucson, the petrol. And it is the third generation or the latest generation of the NU engine. It is more powerful than the previous generation. Roughly about 7 PS more powerful than the previous generation. There were lots of technical changes made in the engine to enhance thermodynamic efficiency and the way it delivers power in that sense. So you get better power output from this 7 PS more power from the same engine that also powers a Tucson. Uh, there's a lot of there are some derivatives from the Tucson employed over here as well, but of course, suspension has been tweaked simply because by elongating the length of the Alcazar and increasing its wheelbase, the dynamics. It's also raised in height. The height of the car is also it stands taller than the Creta by a few feet. But this dynamic characteristics of the Alcazar significantly compared to the Creta. If it had to sit on the same chassis and suspension as the Creta. So what essentially Hyundai has done is not just stiffened up the suspension, but also changed the geometry both the front and of the rear. Now, by doing this, they will be able to add some amount of stability to that entire package. Otherwise, what they need to do is not just extend, not after having extended, they would have also had to extend the track to give it a more stable platform, a more stable footprint to sit on. But rather than doing that, they've tweaked the suspension, and this effectively gives it a more balanced, more handling character. And that's essentially what these are three areas that they've largely worked on where engineering is concerned. Of course, you've got the third row of seats, which has got decent leg room, I'd say. I fit in there, not comfortably. It's a bit of a squeeze for me, but egress is quite comfortable to that third row. Very very simple for that matter. But once you fold down the middle row, there's not a lot of space for someone who's like me, who's 5 feet and tall. Which means young adults, teenage, probably going up to 21, would not even 21, 18, I would say, would fit in very comfortably. There's enough shoulder room for them. But more importantly, there's lots of features in there for them, which are engineered to the entire package. One is you've got cup holders, you've got the aircon vents with a blower speed control as well, and you've got charging points additional. So this makes it a far more relaxed environment to sit in. Would I recommend it to people who travel long distance? Not entirely. It won't be the most comfortable journey for those kids swing back, but you can do it if you. The one challenge over here, and which, to be honest, I in my notice mentioned out, I want to mention it, and I will make that correction in my notice, which I have mentioned on the website, is that there is a fair amount of food, but that's good enough for an overnight trip alone. So you could put 2 small hand bags in there. That is cabin baggage, a small trolley or a small overnighter kind of thing with a small kit bag. You can definitely put it in over there. But if you're seated, if you put in 6 people or 7 people in the car, you cannot put a roof rack on these that are there on top of the car because there aren't any mounting points. This is something that I observed on the cars that we drove during the first drive process. That roof rail does not have any mounting points on it where you can add or something additional. So I'm not sure how we're going to do that. There may be a solution around it, but nothing that I know about as of now. But this could be a challenge, and so you may not be able to a full complement of passengers heading out of the station for a longer duration, heading out for 3 days or 4 days, because there just isn't enough to carry all the luggage and then head out. this is something I believe is an oversight, and there may be a solution for it. But at the time of the trial, there wasn't anybody who could give me a clear-cut answer on this. But I'm waiting for a reply from Hyundai as to why does it have a roof rail, roof of the car? Why don't they have any mounting points for carrier of certificates now? What I also understand that is in certain states in India, putting a carrier on the roof of a privately owned illegal. In some states, it is not, which is very curious, which is very strange, and I don't know why that exists. There are certain states that disallow carriers to put on the car, especially if it's a private car, and these are supposed to be they're only allowed to put on the commercial vehicles, which is very strange. But this could be one of the reasons why Hyundai hasn't offered that. Like I said, I still have to get a response from them, and as soon as I have a response from them on my web story. So these are essentially where the specifications changes are vis-a-vis the Creta and the Alcazar.
All right. Arun Kumar, I hope you buy either the Alcazar or the Creta. You asked Bert a very detailed, actually, you got a very detailed answer from Bert about this. Apurv wants to know, Bert, that we rarely get to see any prototypes from Maruti Suzuki testing on public roads. Do they have some different testing process compared to other manufacturers?
Well, absolutely not. They've got exactly the same testing process, the same evaluation. They do test their cars. They're not very easy. See, keep in mind, most manufacturers do the testings in the region where their plants are. So you will spot some of their prototypes testing in areas like Haryana, Punjab, some of those regions. You will definitely see them. They will not be traveling all across the country. We happen to spot a lot of cars from the Volkswagen, from Tata Motors, from Mahindra, because they do their evaluations in and around Maharashtra. Cars that are manufactured in Chennai, Hyundai for that matter, we don't, the Hyundai, Renault, they manufacture in Chennai. So no, we don't in Maharashtra here in around Bombay, we don't really see those cars. So it matters on where, it does matter where the manufacturer is based, because a lot of the evaluations happen in and around the plant. And certain evaluations also happen where they will go around the country testing in different conditions. Rajasthan, because it is hot, dry, arid weather, maybe the northeast of India because of the rain during this monsoon season, especially, or up in Ladakh. You often see a lot of cars going up in Ladakh. The evaluations over there is because of the altitude and the kind of stresses that it puts on the vehicle. But it's very rare that a car will actually travel into every state around the country and see how it is, in every road condition. Because a lot of that, those conditions overlap. States might have similar conditions, in terms of humidity, in terms of air pressure, in terms of altitude, in terms of weather conditions. So it's not necessary for a manufacturer to be roaming all around the country trying to evaluate every state or every surface that is available. They find most conditions as close as they can, and they do all their evaluations there. So that's why they do not have, Maruti does not have any different testing process. We do the exact same things as required by the government, by the testing authorities, for that matter, ARA or requires some tests to be conducted. They're done exactly that way, and the evaluations are absolutely the same to any other.
All right. But Anvesh wants to know, now that the Mini is launching, it has launched. Now that the Mini is launched, having a JCW at 45 lakhs, why would people even consider the Cooper S?
Well, because not everybody wants the performance that the JCW is capable of. There are two differences over here. Okay. The Mini Cooper, the standard Mini Cooper, that's the the difference is that the ride quality is a little better, and no one wants that point and squirt kind of acceleration and all of that. Not every consumer wants that. People want the funkiness of the Mini, but also want it to be comfortable, a car that they could use for more. And that's one of the biggest reasons why that sort of a Mini, the standard Mini Cooper exists. The Cooper S also for that matter. Now, the J is hardcore performance. Now, driven it, and it is extremely stiff. The suspension will literally rattle the filling out of your teeth. Does everybody want that kind of ride quality to drive every day? No. Those are for special occasions. The interesting part is that these cars are assembled here in India, and that's how BMW is able to keep the prices very competitive. The gap between the Cooper S and the JCW is not very wide also for that matter. So they price quite close to each other. But the Cooper S is as hardcore as the JCW is. So there is a niche set of customers who want the JCW and who appreciate it for what it is and are willing to overlook that it's got such a ride stiff quality. The Cooper S, on the other hand, it's for most of the consumers who definitely want a lot more comfort, but still want the dynamics, the excitement that the Mini has to offer. Why they're also priced very close to each other, but these are essentially what the differences are between the Cooper S and the GCW.
All right, Bot, I think we should go through all the questions and just come up with the winners for today. Actually, I can give you a couple of minutes to go through them, and we'll just tease what's on the show tomorrow on the television show. You can do the questions until then.
So, I'm apologize again if people haven't been able to hear me very clearly. There's a lot of disturbance. Some of the guys saying. Unfortunately, I can't do much about that. Sony, can you hear me clearly so far?
I can hear.
All right. Sorry, guys. Those of you who can't hear me, there are network issues at your end also. So unfortunate, but sorry for these. But I'm not really going to apologize for network issues. I don't own Jio or Ed.
All right, guys. We'll quickly take you through what's on the show tomorrow at 1 p.m. On CNBC TV 18. We have an entire detailed review of the all-new Skoda Kushaq and the Hyundai Alcazar. You can catch it at 1 p.m. on CNBC TV 18 tomorrow. The repeat telecast will air at 12:30 and 8 p.m. on Sunday. You can also stream the show live on cnbctv18.com/live TV. We will now get back to what do you have our winners?
Yes, I do. The three winners. Before that, there's another question. Someone's been desperately asking why is a Beamer called Beamer? Well, that's just that's a nickname that people in the US adopted and essentially came from a nickname that kind of formed for the Beamers for BMW motorcycles in the United Kingdom, and essentially got carried forward and it became the Beamer, and it's just a nickname. And the way it was pronounced, that's gotten popular over the years. There isn't a right way to pronounce it, or it's called the Beamer, you can call it the Beamer. It really doesn't matter. BMW by any other name will sound and ride just as sweet. Sorry guys, again I'm apologizing. I just keep seeing a couple more comments. Improve audio while you're speaking because of bad internet. We are already not able to hear you clearly. I'm really, really sorry. Mayur also, I'm really sorry about that. Apologies, my audio is not really clear today, but network issues, that's all I can get it on. I'm hoping it's not these cheap Bluetooth headphones that I'm using.
It's not. It's not. But let's just get to the winners, and we'll wrap up today's show so that our producer, whose birthday it is, he can carry on with his birthday celebrations today.
Just saying happy birthday, Vivek. Vivek's our producer. I don't know if you can get him online, so maybe you can just at least show him who's our co-producer of this show.
We can, but would he want to be on the show right now? Vivek, would you want to join us?
Yeah, another one of our teammates who works silently behind the scenes. Vivek, can you join us for a second or two?
Just added him on the stream.
Happy birthday, Vivek. Have a great time.
Thank you.
Happy birthday, Vivek. Thanks a lot for joining us today and presenting the show despite your birthday. We'll try to wrap it up soon so that you can continue.
Together, guys, and he does a lot of the work at the back end, putting the show together, getting the graphics, and making sure that the packaging is just right for this 1 hour. So thanks a lot for that, Vivek. And of course, he also works on the weekend show as well. And it's a very, very busy week for him because we come to you every week, so it's a very challenging time. Thank you so much, Vivek, and have a great day.
Thank you, Bert. Thank you, everyone.
All right, so let's get on to the winners for this week. There are 4 questions that I thought definitely merit the digital subscription to OVERDRIVE. The winners, they're definitely good questions. The first one is from Rajesh Khare. I am aware that bike manufacturers test bikes selling them to us. I have a question. we test the seats. Why is the seat is either too hard or too soft? We just go in for looks. And Ravish, like I answered, it's not just looks. There is evaluation that happens. But yes, it also depends on the body size and the kind of person that is there to ride the motorcycle. It could differ person to person as well. Nothing can be standardized for every body type in the country. Rahul Samel, I'm not sure if Rahul Samel has been a past
He
or
has.
not, but
He's one.
he had a great question today. RE has recalled bikes with conditions and recalled to reflex reflectors. Is that fault because of vendors or supervision and pre-OEM is not true enough? Great question. Rahul, keep those coming in. Vishwas Jain was the third question that I picked up. Again, I'm sure the name sounds familiar. Vishwas probably has won a subscription in the past. If not, you are a winner today. Do you think manufacturers like Mercedes are taking the customers for a ride by price about 40% higher than competition? It's not 40%, which was significantly higher also. Like the new S Class, I understand that it's a CVU. You explain what the pricing strategy is made was this country taxation on CPUs. This Pratiksha also, motor logging and touring is catching up. Motor logging, I'm not sure what that has to do with riding, but touring, after lockdown, many choose to travel privately. So why aren't manufacturers coming up with user bikes rather than AVs? And I hope I answered your question sufficiently enough to think. But the four of you, these are the four best questions that we picked up for today. Kamel, Vishwas, Jen, and Pratiksha. To send us an email to digitalshow@overdrive.co.in and we will respond to you immediately and be on this list so that we get the issues in hand. So, also, this month has been a fairly, again, like the last several months, we've been delayed in production of our magazine, and that has taken time to come out for you guys as well. But thank you for bearing with us. Thanks for being patient. All our schedules kind of went for toss during the second wave and the first wave. We got delayed significantly in production, but we haven't missed a single issue. We haven't combined any issues. We haven't missed out on that, and we still cannot miss another issue. And we are struggling now. We are trying very hard to bring that back up to its previous schedules. Let's fingers crossed we're able to do that very, very soon. Faster than we expected. This month, I don't have the copy with me as it's not production, it's not print, but hopefully next week I will be able to cover. We've got the story on the GLS Maybach and several other bags and tests, A-Class compared against 2 Series, E-Class compared against 19. There's lots of interesting stories in there, so do copy of that. And for all those guys who won digital subscriptions, do come back to us with your comments, your feedback on what you like the digital show. And tomorrow, definitely tune in for CNBC 18 for the television show as well. We have our on CNBC.
Guys, thanks a lot for bearing with us. I know it's not been easy today with the network issues. And yes, I have to take one more statement. In fact, it's Evander has said, "What are you sitting in a military camp? It's giving that kind of feel with the map behind you." And,
So guys, that map at the back is my go-to map where I decide where I'm going to do next feature test. It's a quick, ready reckoner for me to kind of identify and recollect rather the routes that I've been on over the last 20 years traveling across the country to do various road tests, various features, stories that I've travelogues that I've bought for you in the last 20 years. And that map kind of just quickly gives me an idea of what other, just brings to mind some fantastic routes, some fantastic locations. Some of the best countries that I have ever driven in, to be honest. I couldn't say the same about any other place. Yes, Europe has its charms. The US is, the less said, the better. But if there was some place that you actually wanted to travel on a road trip, India is the place to be. Was season to season, it differs. South of India is fantastic in monsoons. North of India is fantastic in the winter season. And it just, there is the time and place for every state in this country. And it just, in the colors, the sounds, the flavors, the smells, it's just a smorgasbord of diversity. Something that you cannot experience anywhere else in the world, the extent that you can do in the country that we call home, India. So, no, I'm not sitting in a military camp. It's me in my office the space, and that's the map right behind me. That's the India map. Right.
As you can see, Bert is really missing his travels, and hopefully we
I'm
will be
really
able to
missing my
start.
travel country. I really look forward to being back into a car and heading out. I think the last fantastic trip that we did, Sony, was the winter
Yeah,
drive that you went on.
yeah.
I'm glad we've all been booked up at home. So hopefully everything will open up very soon. Be able to head out again. But
All right. Thanks so much, guys,
see you again
for
next
joining us,
weekend.
though.
Thank you guys. See you. Have a nice weekend. Bye bye.
Yeah, see you. Bye bye.